Hello, I'm Lisa Franzen-Castle, and I work for the University of Nebraska-Lincoln Panhandle Research and Extension Center as the Extension Nutrition Specialist in Scottsbluff, Nebraska. My doctorate's in nutrition, and I'm also a registered dietitian. And this is the Osteoporosis Awareness and Prevention, Keeping Bones Strong podcast series. And as I mentioned before, each May, the National Osteoporosis Foundation celebrates Osteoporosis Awareness and Prevention Month. And the foundation has developed campaigns whose themes, messages, and activities build towards the goal of increasing awareness and action related to osteoporosis. So definitely try and check out mybones.com as well as www.nof.org. And as I talked about in the previous presentation on osteoporosis, building strong bones during childhood and adolescence can really help prevent osteoporosis. And it's important to optimize bone health and prevent osteoporosis by making sure we get the daily recommendations and amounts of calcium and vitamin D, as well as engaging in regular weight-bearing and muscle strengthening exercise. So first I want to talk about calcium and why we need it. Calcium makes up a major part of our bones. It helps keep bones strong and hard, and the body also uses calcium for nerve function as well as muscle movement. And the calcium needs of the body, if you don't supply enough calcium for your body will take calcium from your bones. And this is when our bones lose calcium and then become less dense. So according to the National Osteoporosis Foundation, adults under age 50 need 1,000 milligrams of calcium a day. And if you're age 50 and older, you need to aim for 1,200 milligrams a day. I'm going to talk a little bit about sources of calcium. So foods that are natural sources. Of course, the first thing we think of are dairy products. And then there's also certain vegetables as well as some fish that have calcium in them. So examples of vegetables would be those dark green leafy vegetables like collard greens, turnip greens, bok choy, mustard greens, and also canned fish like sardines and salmon with bones. And also think about calcium fortified foods. There's some juices and cereals as well as breads that have calcium added to their products. So this is really important where the label is your friend, to look for those things and see if calcium's been added to them, if you're looking for extra ways to incorporate calcium into your diet. And then the third option is calcium supplements. If you're not getting enough calcium through your diet, supplements may be able to help make up that gap. Now I'm going to move on to vitamin D and why you need it. The body needs vitamin D to help you absorb calcium. And without enough, the bones can again lose mass and weaken. So it helps muscle performance and balance, and this in turn also helps reduce the risk of falling. So according to the National Osteoporosis Foundation, adults less than 50 years old need about 400 to 800 IUs, and that's international units daily. And then if you're 50 or older, you need 800 to 1,000 international units daily. So there's 3 ways to get vitamin D. Exposure to sunlight. The skin makes vitamin D from the sun's ultraviolet rays. Foods. There's only a few foods that contain vitamin D naturally. An example of that would be salmon. But there are some milk and cereal products that are vitamin D fortified. So again, looking at the labels and looking at the products to see if there is vitamin D that's been added into those. And supplements. This is also important too. But before buying a vitamin D supplement, make sure you check the labels of the supplements that you currently take, because there's a lot of multivitamins and calcium supplements that already contain vitamin D in them. And now I want to talk a little bit about exercise and why you need it. Weight-bearing and muscle strengthening exercise. These can help build bone density and help slow bone loss. And then balance and posture exercises are important because they can help decrease the risk of falls and then in turn broken bones. So again, according to the National Osteoporosis Foundation, you should aim for 30 minutes of weight-bearing exercise most days and strengthening exercises on each major muscle group 2 to 3 times a week. And the best ways to get exercise, thinking about weight-bearing activities, some examples would be dancing, walking, low-impact aerobics, and also gardening. And when we think about muscle strengthening exercises, free weights, weight machines, or also those elastic like stretch exercise bands are good too. So when we talk about the summary for understanding osteoporosis and eating smart and staying active, really want to optimize our bone health by getting our daily recommendations and amounts of calcium and vitamin D, as well as engaging in regular weight-bearing and muscle strengthening exercise. And again, osteoporosis and bone health is really something that we should be concerned about throughout the lifespan and not just when we get older, and realize that it's important to encourage youth to make sure they get enough of their recommendations when it comes to calcium and vitamin D, and also making sure they have an active lifestyle. Thank you for listening.